we in for the day. So with that, I would like to begin by welcoming you all today. Thank you for joining this beautiful Saturday, hopefully where you are as well. Thank you for joining the ASPS, Art Song Preservation of Society, our Season of Song Festival. And this is the first event of 2021. And it's actually a continuation of our year-long festival that began in 2020. So we did the first 6 events from September through to December, and we've got 6 more, and this is the first. So I'm excited to get started with the year with this fantastic masterclass that's going to be taught today by none other than Andrea DelGiudice, who is a returning masterclass guest artist for us, and she always gives a thrilling masterclass, and I expect no less today. It's going to be
pressure.
It's going to be exceptional. So I would like to thank the singers who will be performing today, because without talent, we're nothing. We truly aren't, and we've got some gifted singers coming back, many of whom have sung for masterclasses for us previously. I'd also like to thank UMES. It's the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone Development Corporation, administered by LMCC, and they provide grants for emerging projects or nonprofits or artist programs that present work on the Upper West Side. So typically, as many of you know, we present our master classes on the Upper West Side at the Manhattan School of Music, our partner there. Because of COVID, we have turned to virtual events this year. That may continue on one more season this summer as we continue to, everyone gets vaccinated. So hopefully when the vaccinations come where you are and when you are able, please get vaccinated. We want you to be able to, we all want to be able to return to live events, particularly if we're artists and those who help to showcase artists. This Season of Song Festival is also presented or made in part possible by the Creative Engagement Fund, which is another grant supported by New York City's Department of Cultural Affairs. And it's in partnership with the City Council and the Governor of New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo. And all of this is administered by LMCC. So again, we're so grateful to these 2 funders, without whom we would not be able to present these master classes, recitals, and talks that we have for you this season. So with that, I'm going to do very little talking today. My role is simply to be the timekeeper. And then at the end, if there are questions, if we have time for a Q&A, I'll help to facilitate that. But I'm actually going to mute myself because it seems this is a day where there's a lot of ongoing helicopters flying over, everything is happening. So I don't want to interfere with any of the beautiful singing. I will just end this short prelude to the day by saying that we are so grateful to have Andrea back again. She is truly an incredible opera and stage director, soprano herself. I love hearing her sing, but she has some not unusual, but a very specific philosophy in terms of how she presents her pedagogical ideas, and I think it rings so true, and it's a wonderful marriage of kind of the old world style of teaching, but with a fresh new approach that makes it very accessible for singers and the audience. So with that, I'll mute myself and turn the tide over to Andrea. Thank you, Andrea.
Thanks, Blair. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone, and welcome from New York City. We are in New York City. It's good to see you all. I'm looking forward to working with each one of you. I thank you all for sending your resume as well as the translations. It's going to be very helpful in regards to how we work. I've studied all your repertoire if I didn't know it already. And I'm here for you. And that's an important thing that I want to say today. I'm here for you. So it's an art song masterclass. And so we are going to start with the art song, and you are able to sing through the entire thing. I'll work on the art song, and then I'd like to do probably a section of the aria if we don't have time for the whole thing. It sort of depends on the length of your aria, and I have 25 minutes with each one of you, so we have to see how that goes. But the theme to today, the focus to today is what does it mean as an opera singer, because you're all opera singers, what does it mean as an opera singer to sing art song, and what are the differences or similarities in how you create both physically on a vocal level and emotionally in terms of the text or the scene, the drama. So the two things are very important in terms of how they marry together. If you haven't stalked my website, and I suggest it because then you know more about me, I am an opera singer. I've had a very illustrious career for years in Europe and in the States, represented by Randsman Artist Management during my career then. I am now currently represented by Encompass Arts Management as a stage director as well. So I have a lot of different facets coming first and foremost from a vocal place, from a bel canto place. We're going to talk a lot about what does chiaroscuro mean. That's probably the biggest question in, I would say, among singers and in what we're talking about in not just the business, but the art form. So I do have one student here today. She is actually my student who's here live. I do want to let you all know we've tested COVID. We're all negative. We're very conscientious about being safe. I have a system here in the studio which has disinfectant, and I just want you to know that we're all very safe so that nobody's worrisome during this particular artist as she sings. So her name is Diane Distasio. We're going to start with her. I do absolutely want time at the end for Q&A, not just the vocal, but also that's the reason I asked for your resumes or your bios, because I am working with a number of different agencies and opera houses. I hope to be able to answer some questions for all of you in regards to where do I fit in? What am I ready for? Am I offering the right repertoire? I have a lot of expertise in that area that I'm consistently working with both the companies and agents. So I hope to be able to help in that regard as well. Okay, so I'm going to sit over there until Diane's done, and then I'll come back into the screen. I want you all to have Diane as the main performer. Okay, so Diane Distasio she'll announce what she's brought to sing, and then you listen, and then you'll see me again. Okay, see you in a few minutes.
Good afternoon. I will be singing In Solitaria Stanza by Verdi as my art song, and the aria will be A chi mi dice mai from Don Giovanni by Mozart.
Rois
again. Okay, I'm back. Oh, what did I do with my headphones? Here we go. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to come over there and then I'm going to refer to my notes, Diane, okay? Because I have the music too.
Do you want to pin this?
Yeah.
Here. For speaker view. Actually do speaker view, then
Great.
it'll be you.
Great.
Oh, speaker view is Leo.
You should be Diane Distasio.
I know, because everyone else probably should mute themselves, so we'll pin it.
There we go. Perfect. Okay. She's an expert. She knows more than I do. Okay. So I just want to start by saying thank you to Travis Bloom, who you don't see, but he's actually the live pianist in the background. And wow, is it gorgeous and a pleasure to hear truly the collaboration between the singer and the live music. I know we do not have that luxury at the moment in all cases, but I do want to call it out when I see it, because it's really the way it goes. And we'll talk a little bit about that too in the Q&A. But Diane has been, I can stand back here, right? Let me.
Yes.
Okay. So Diane has been my student since two years ago, May. Coming this May, yes. It'll be 2 years. Yeah. She sang for me at this specific Masterclass 2 years ago. She sang this art song, and I worked on this art song with her. So I asked her not to sing this for me in the lesson because I wanted to hear it as is right now, and so that we can discuss not only the things I have to say, but also what are the changes, what's happened in the last 2 years to affect this piece. So first of all, it's Verdi, right?
Yes.
It's a Verdi song. And in case you didn't recognize it, the center, da, 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 that's Il Trovatore. That's Tace la notte. Okay, and he uses that theme, and we're going to talk a little bit about the actual textural meaning here and in Tace, and why or how he might use those things. I think what's crucial is that because it's a Verdi song, it's an aria. They're all derivative themes and physicalities of the arias. Maybe it came first, but they meet in the same way. So the first thing I want to talk about is the difference between when we sing dolce or we sing too precious, right? Too precious. So what does too precious mean? When we're thinking about art song, obviously we're thinking about the text. It's maybe a different physicalization of the way in which we interpret the text. Although I have to say, Verdi, as in his operas, many of them are not particularly complex stories. Okay, so the repetitions of the phrases and so forth. So I want to note the difference between maybe how we would deal with Fauré or something that has more of an impressionistic sense of style and also physically, and something which I consider verismo. Right? This is a verismo. Verismo is true to life. It's all of the guts of our feelings and our sobbing and our body that are going to interpret these phrases differently. Okay. So I think looking at a piece of music, you go, okay, it's an art song, so I have to be sweet. Right. And I feel for you that we have to go back to a longer duration of sound. A longer duration of sound, both in the body and in what you give out. So if we're thinking about starting dolce, mezzo piano, and crescendoing, we can do that even in the same note. We could do that even per note. Who are you listening to sing this? Who have you listened to?
I've listened to Angela
Georgiou,
mm-hmm. and Sandra Rovanovsky.
Okay. So we need some older people for you to listen to. We need some Tebaldi or someone that goes a little further back. And the reason that I'm saying that, I love both of those artists, Georgiou and Rovanovsky. There is a difference, and I think I'll speak to this with each one of you. There is a difference in how an Italian will treat the text from obviously, conversational way of approaching the Italian, but also where are the stresses? Where do they physically lean their body in and out of the sound? This is something that I want to say is the same in art song as it is in opera. I think the crucial difference would be that generally, obviously, this could be done with orchestra, but it's generally done with piano, right? So we're not thinking about the acoustics of a 3,000 seat theater like we will be when she sings Akebi Dishimai, right, an aria. So what does that mean too? Does that mean we're tempering what we do for the room, or are we singing from our default center no matter what? So volume and presence of sound are two different things, however they can be the same. So that's what I want to do right now. I want to work a little bit on, I'm going to put this down because I'm too short. Okay. So I just want to go through some specific phrases and move you in and out. I just want to make sure I didn't forget anything in my notes. Okay. So the other thing I want to talk about, and she's, first of all, can we just admit she has a gorgeous voice? It's stunning. It's a stunning, beautiful voice. And the growth that's happened in the past year and a half is no less than astonishing. She's singing this today, but she's also singing Strauss, she's singing Wagner. It has really become a contender of an instrument, okay, and a human being. So what I want to really say is I want to ask you a question. How does support affect intonation?
How does support, I think, in every way, because it's actually like carrying your voice on a platter,
okay,
presenting it.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps it buoyant, which helps bring all the overtones in, which helps intonation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so first off, the way you approach this is obviously from the story, correct?
Yes.
Okay, what's the story about?
Well, it's a person singing about Irene.
Who's Irene?
I would say that it was somebody very special to this person. I'm going to say a man.
Okay.
Or it could be a woman, and it's a very special family member. And she's obviously in a lot of pain. I kind of went with the fact that she was very sick. Mm-hmm. And she was in her last moments. It's like in her last moments of life.
So who are you?
I was her friend.
Okay. So that changes a lot of what we would naturally associate this with, which would be love, couple love, in love. Okay. It's different. And I love that you've gone to this place. Here's a great example of saying, I'm going to take this art song and I'm going to personalize it, because in the end, it doesn't really matter how the composer or the librettist wrote this in regards to their own experience or that their own time period. If you can't personalize it, you can't own it, right? So that's really wonderful. So let's just experiment with a few things. I think because of this idea that Irene is in the last stages of her life, it could be sort of blanketed that you're going to stay in a held back feeling emotionally. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. So when you make these decisions, how does that affect vocally what you're doing, Diane?
I was held back vocally.
Okay. So let's
going into the F, the passaggio area, it felt just a little stuck.
Okay.
A little.
So that's where I want to go. Okay. I want to go to that line, which is the tacea line, right? Okay. Because the way that Verdi is written, it's constructed. I've sung a lot of Puccini and Verdi, and it's in my body, in my head, my soul, everything. So the way it's written is that there is this sort of peak of emotion, which comes to the F, right? It comes to the F in the physical, in the body. So you can experience this. Name. What? First of all, what's the text on the first time you ascend there? What are you saying?
She's asking the gods, might you not know how to create another Irene? So it's the first time she's asking the gods to create. Please, can you create another Irene for me?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's already heart-wrenching, right? So, but as we feel that, right, there is there's singhiozzo, there's sob in the way that you're going to actually physicalize that in the praying or the imploring of the gods. Can you create another Irene? This is the one that I love, and she's going to be gone. Okay. So I think I think because it also occurs more than once, we can change that approach on those lines we're going to call the emotional coming out.
Okay.
All right, let's call it the emotional coming out. So if you cultivated the beginning of this in such a sincere is a very important word, because sincere means truthful, right? So it isn't that you're musically imposing something on this song without it coming from a physical place. Again, same in opera as an art song. It has to come from a physical side, okay? So can you start, let's see, I'll tell Travis too.
Starts the first.
Yeah, but I want you to start a little earlier. Le rupi internerir, okay? So she's gonna start a couple of measures before this so she can get into that line. So that's the end of the other phrase, right? Okay. Le rupi internerir. So she's gonna finish that. Now, I'd like you to take where that lays, F, E flat, B flat. And I want you to really, and I want you to stretch from the bottom and open the back as you move up. Okay? This is just a technical thing I want her to do so that the body is actually where the source of the sound is coming from. When you get to that line, say the line for them.
Salvate o dei pietosi.
Okay, so salvate dei pietosi. So the way it's written rhythmically, salvate o dei pietosi. Okay, so we have to respect even emotionally how that rhythm is written. Okay, so I want you to allow, how are you going to create a crescendo? And what is the crescendo going to mean?
I'm going to create it with increased appoggio in the body, and not with my throat.
Okay, and what else?
And the release, the repetitiveness of the vowel.
Okay, so what's the most important word here? There might be more than one.
I'd say pitiful gods, dei pietosi.
Okay, what does this mean here? Con enfasi means what?
Non lo so.
Okay, with emphasis, right? Salvate, save, salvate o dei pietosi. What does incazzando mean? Warmth. Okay, so these little things, particularly with Verdi, okay, he writes vocal requests. So does Puccini. Okay, so if you're talking about con enfasi, you're going to emphasize the fact that save, right? Please answer my prayer. And then as you come into pietosi, right? Have mercy. So that would warm, that would round. And so I want you to integrate what's written musically in that phrase with how you would do it physically.
Okay.
Okay, so start right before on le rupi intenerir, which is the cliffs will soften. The other thing I want to say to you is doubles. Doubles, or Italians will murder you, okay? Lovingly, doubles, okay? I'm just going to step back for her to do that, okay?
Okay. Right, that's my first note.
Okay, so try one more time. I would like these E flats. I want you to open a little bit more. I describe this sometimes as not sitting in chest, but by cracking an egg and opening the chest and having chest support. So the lower laryngeal opening creates the color you're looking for. And there's I changed 3 times.
So
I never changed my larynx. Okay, so you want a little bit more of that sucked in feeling with the height of the vowel, but a little bit more depth in how you pick up the entire phrase.
Okay.
Try it again.
I already feel too high on that leg.
So don't forget it's an E because it's an F flat. Is that correct? a legitimate choice in how she chose that musically. I loved it. I loved it because you decided. When you go into a piano on the F, okay, piano, I want you to increase the intensity of the O. I want you to crescendo by opening the O all the way through the body. Okay, you don't have to go as far as I'm saying. You can stay in the piano, but what happens is, if you close to move on a descending half step, your throat closes.
Okay.
Right, so right, that's even more activity to go from the F into the triplet, because it needs see, that's not musical. Closing the throat is not musical because it's not vocal. So the rules are anything you create musically is actually done vocally. This is why it's important for you to have a wonderful voice teacher and a wonderful coach, because they have to work on both ends. It doesn't mean that as a voice teacher, I don't understand the music, I do. But moment to moment, I'm working on physically what it means to have the capacity to physically translate what's asked musically and emotionally. Does that make sense? So try it again, and that basically in all that detail, support more on that, right?
Okay.
That's my general part of after the detail.
That's all. Okay.
That's okay. So, how did that feel different than the first time you sang it?
I felt like I was using more voice.
Okay.
It was fuller.
Okay, so
go ahead.
well, I'm just going to say, so in using more voice, a fuller sound, did you feel like you had less emotion?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that, right? Because that's important. Because as I said, volume and presence of sound are actually something we have to discuss. Presence of sound is non-negotiable. Whether it's forte, mezzo forte, piano, presence of sound is necessary because you are the sound. You're not a violin, you're not a piano, right? You are the sound.
Mm-hmm.
So you can decide the dynamic, but never letting go of the sound. I always say to people, when you listen to an old world Italian singer, what do you love? Their sound never stops. It's like, what? Never stops. It's interrupted. It's consistent. So the Italian is their language, but it doesn't mean we can't do it. It just means we need to understand what it means to draw, interrupt, and repeat the vowel as the source of the sound. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So tell me what it felt like to go from here to here, from pietosi to quella.
It was better, but I still felt like I could have released it better.
Okay, so I'm going to make a suggestion. The word is pietosi. When she goes to piano, from O to piano, I want her to go from O to U. I don't want you to decrease the amount of sound. I want you to change the vowel from O to U. O-si. Okay, just try that. Go right from Samantha.
Okay.
Saying
that I didn't love.
Voi forse non sapreste un'altra Irene Ordir. What are you saying?
Might you not know how to create another Irene.
So you're asking a question. First you
Right.
said, I'm begging you. Now you're saying, do you know how to do this? Okay. So how would the dynamic, how would the way you treat that, even in the way you ask the question, be different between 1 and 2?
Probably not quite as emphatic as I sang the first phrase.
Do you want the emphatic one to be here or here? The first one or the second one?
Probably the second one.
Okay, right? So explain why. Tell us from your perspective in terms of the way you feel, because how you feel, your interpretation, your telling of this physically and the story is coming from your truth, is coming from your story. So tell me why the first one is more the second one's more emphatic. You're going to keep the first one more piano.
Because the first one is coming more from a place of a pleading prayer.
Okay.
And the second one will be like kind of an emotional outburst.
Excellent. So you pianoed on that. That's not what you wanted to do, is it? Right. So do it again. Do the 2 phrases again and really do what you just said. You physically just have to commit to the way you want to. What I call E natural into F is what I call a vocal layout, right? It's a physical way of leaning on the breath and being able to really let yourself sing full. We don't have to say mezzo piano, forte, full.
Okay.
Okay? Again. Okay, so the commitment to what you did, and let's face it, this is very important to say too. She has the technique to do this, right? She has the technique to do it. I heard someone today on TikTok, it was really funny. He was talking about, he's a singer, someone who I've worked with for many years, but he has his own TikTok show. And he was saying, somebody called in and asked, he said, Mozart's not for beginner singers. And I said, true. Why? Because Mozart, first of all, I'm going to go to HE double hockey sticks. It's written as well as Verdi for the voice. Okay, it's the truth. So the thing is, your technique, your capacity to be able to choose these 2 things and that happened out of your physical choices.
My intention.
Your intention didn't come from luck. It came from studying how to do this, right?
Right.
Okay, but we are all responsible in the end for the music and the physical to mix and match. Okay. Blair, how many minutes do I have left, honey?
So I was trying to figure out how to alert you. We actually have just ended our time, and I know you want to have time for Q&A.
I'm just gonna give everybody an extra 5 minutes. Everybody's gonna get 30 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, it's okay. I'll just turn people away at the door later. Okay.
No problem. So I'm starting 5 minutes now.
All right. So I do want to move on for her to sing a section of Akibidishimai.
Yep.
Okay, even if it's just the beginning, because I want to see a difference in her physical and the dramatic choices, and then she's going to tell us why. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna go over here again.
Mind if I
Is 3 measures fine?
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yep. Because we're going to lose time. I want her to go over here and I want you to enter. I'm asking her to come into the scene, okay? Because if she stands here stiff, that's not Elvira. Elvira yells all the time. She knows what she wants. So I need to see something in the body moving to get into that. So let's try that one more time.
All right.
I asked you all to pick kind of contrasting things so we can really understand that. So all I'm going to say about this, okay, because I don't have any time, is what this feels like, who Elvira is that you can yell inside as much as you want, okay? So I would say, we've talked about this before too, there's a feeling in this kind of dramatic approach, and this is a perfect example of Mozart that needs technique to be able to accomplish what's required, right? This is not a precious piece. So the sense that, Diane, you can live with your mouth open.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I think that's an important part of what this is. She did sing in chess. I love that, right? It's not against the rules or a religion to sing in chess and Mozart, okay? Don't let anybody tell you that. And Calvinist agrees. We have very important people who have sung this repertoire who are great. That's a grounding. That is a choice because of what she was saying, right? So even though you're coming down into that lower register, into the chest area, there's still an open height on the inside, correct?
Yes, I did. That was strange that happened. That never happened before.
So that's drama from walking in and being in the scene. This is going to happen to all of you when you're able to commit on that level that strange things may happen. I remember singing Butterfly years ago, and I've sung it like 100 million times. And I got to, my scordata, and I sang a G in chest. And I mean, tenor chest. And I went, why did I do that? I didn't choose. It was how I felt about, you're going to forget this child. No, you're not. Right. So this is supposed to happen. Right. That's one of the most beautiful things that ever happens in the studio is when someone expresses and goes, wow, I didn't expect that. Right. But we're excited from it. And that's also why I like you all to listen to the singers of the 50s and the 60s. They took these risks and they grew as vocalists and they grew as dramatic artists. Okay. I want to thank you. I'm sorry. I wish I had 3 hours with everybody, but beautiful job. Really beautiful job. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're going to unhitch the mic and I'm going to sit on my Mr. Rogers stool and we can continue.
Excellent. So, well, I'll wait till. Well, while Andrea's doing that, I'll just say, first of all, beautiful job, Diane. Beautiful singing, and she's correct. Your voice has grown tremendously in the past 2 years since I last heard you.
Thank you, Blair.
While Andrea is getting set up for our next singer, Madison, I just want to bring your attention to the fact that we have more events happening the rest of the season. So I'll share my screen with you really quickly just while Andrea's getting set up so that you can see a list of them. So here we are. This shows you our season. Today, obviously, we have the Bel Canto with Andrea DelGiudice. In February, there will be a piano recital called My Songs Without Words, and it's going to be a lot of art song transcriptions of piano transcriptions of art songs, as well as a lot of music, solo piano music that is very melodious and kind of makes one think easily of song. A lot of great composers have, particularly Brahms has melodies that you can almost imagine the words, the text that would be created. We also have a discussion coming up in February about the diversification of song, including African American and Latin American song repertoire. Not enough singers do it, and so we're hoping. We're hoping that with this discussion, it will help inspire singers to begin including that repertoire in the mix as well. We also have in March an African American song masterclass with Dr. Emery Stevens. It's our first as part of the repertoire offered through ASPS, so I'm very excited for that. And we also have a dramatic interpretation of song masterclass with Rayanne Bryce Davis, an amazing mezzo who will be lending her talents to our season. And then we'll end with the French song masterclass with Thomas Grubb in April. So that's just, it gives you a little bit of an idea of what's to come. Okay, I think they are set up.
Yep.
Andrea, I just realized, so how will I let you know the time mark? Usually I just drop it in the chat and send it to you. Should I send it to Diane's account?
Yeah, so I guess I'm Diane today.
Okay.
Because we're not going to log off and we were on the same one. So everybody knows, you're looking for me, you're looking for Diane, but I'm Andrea. Okay?
Excellent. So,
Blair, you can do this. You can do 3 minutes. You could just show me fingers and I'll know how much time I've got left.
Okay, I will do that. I'll also drop it in the chat box just in case if there's a little ding or alert.
Perfect, because I can see the chat right here. That's ideal. Because now I'm looking at the computer. I wasn't before, so this is perfect.
Perfect. All right, so we will go on with our next singer.
Great.
Good afternoon. My name is Madison McIntosh, and I would like to sing Sogno by Tosti. And I would like to credit my virtual pianist. This is Christina Pepper. I found her recording of this on YouTube.
I love your background.
Thank you.
It's gorgeous.
Come un santo che prega il Signore.
Wow, Madison. Oh my gosh. That was gorgeous. Gorgeous. So I know Madison. I've known Madison for a number of years. I think you took a master class maybe 2 years ago, maybe? 2 or 3?
1 or 2, I think. Maybe,
yeah, maybe 1 or 2. And wow, is your voice matured. And that's a compliment. That's a compliment. To say the voice is matured, really, for me, because you transitioned from soprano to mezzo how long ago?
A few years ago.
Okay. So, and you know something? That is a very important thing to consider, right? Because we don't just change voice categories for no reason, right? We change because there's something inherent in the instrument, especially as we get older, right? I don't mean you're old, but older, where the maturity of the voice sort of answers our question. Where is the physical default place in the voice for each singer? What do I mean by that? What do I mean by a default place? I could explain it better, but I want to hear what you have to say about that.
The tessitura, perhaps. I'm very comfortable in a low tessitura and a middle voice tessitura. I mean, the sogno in G flat major is very middle voicey, but I'm also very much at home in chest voice based pieces.
Yes. So I feel it's interesting. So I feel that the soprano aspect of the voice has kept the freedom in the top. You love chest voice, because I know who you study with, because I studied with him too. And we are chest voice people, okay? Colleagues. So here's what I feel, Madison. I feel like through the center portion of the tessitura, which is most of where this sits, you have a tendency to brighten out of the actual rounded, colorful shape that you have on the other ends. Does that make sense? So I'm going to work through a few things, and I took a few notes. Who have you listened to sing this?
I haven't studied anyone's recording very carefully. I've listened to, a few years ago, I became familiar with the song by listening to a few recordings of it, but mostly I think that I focused on my own interpretation. Oh, I did also become familiar with it through Donata D'Annunzio Lombardi.
Yes, I know her. Yeah. Okay. Great. I love her. She's wonderful. The reason I'm mentioning it is I'm not ever asking for you all to listen to a singer to copy them. That's not the issue, right? But when we're talking about, and most of the people you're going to hear me refer to, right, are 20, 30 years ago. I'm also a very dedicated Italianate chiaroscuro bel canto singing, which is not common enough these days, in my opinion, right? This is what I teach. I subscribe to the old ways, and as Blair said, hopefully bring it to a modern way of expressing it. But I was going to suggest, Madison, Renata Tebaldi. Why would I suggest Renata Tebaldi to you?
I think that she does have that chiaroscuro quality. I mean, she has the roundness and the space, as well as the shimmer, the squillo.
Absolutely. And this being in middle register, and this song, regardless, you sang it in the same key as a soprano would anyway. That's the key, right? So what we want to do is we want to find your individual color. I felt the middle for you was in a bit of over bright soprano interpretation physically, okay? So what I wrote down was that the A vowel in particular, and I want to go through some of these areas, the A vowel can basically end up being a sound for you on that note that you can kind of sit there and look at rather than physicalize and keep the singing through it, right? And maybe shape the A more into an AW because as well, your U vowel, do you speak French?
I've studied it. I don't speak it fluently, but I've studied it.
Your Italian ooh is a little French-like. And the reason I'm saying that is because ooh, which basically has an O cavity from here all the way down into the lower body, is an actual means to entering middle voice or wherever that is. Ooh is a ooh. That's only in the mouth. Your ooh vowel tends to not flow through your body to give me more of that mezzo quality, right, in that place. So I want to go through a couple of places there. This song is simple, glorious. What does it mean to you?
When I first heard it, I thought that the text was sweet. And then I was actually a little bit critical of it, and I am normally not that way with my songs and my characters. I normally just relate a lot to them. But I actually, for a little while, felt rather critical of the song, thinking, if she's saying to him, basically, I had a dream that you were on your knees begging me to love you, why does she think that that would somehow make him likelier to love her? And then I thought of a more sympathetic backstory. Perhaps they were an item, they were a couple, and then he betrayed her for someone else, and she resents him like crazy, but in spite of herself, she still loves him.
Okay, I love that you did that. I love that you reinterpret it, because I'm also critical of the text, okay? Don't forget, a lot of these old texts that the Italians used were very, you know, the man's the boss, okay? So that's a challenge for the woman who's singing it, isn't it? I mean, I actually also come from the place where all of the operas that I direct are all from the strength of the women. I don't change the music, I don't change the text. But Violetta had a past. Violetta had a life. And there were reasons that things happened to her, and there are reasons that she had strengths that we need to see. So I think we can do that in everything. We're not bending what the author intended, because the author intended whatever they felt. So you have license to do that. So I think if you can, because you have a very powerful voice, your voice speaks, okay? And I think that in order to do that, the way in which you come into the center of your sound and who you are, why are you saying this? You have to sing this as the boss. You have to sing this as the boss, okay? Sogno, it means dream, but it doesn't mean like, ah. It's a dream. We have dreams that are terrifying. We have dreams that feel really real, okay? So in describing all of what you're saying here, I dreamt that you were on your knees like a saint who prays to the Lord. You look deeply into my eyes and gaze sparkled with love. You might not be happy about that, right? I mean, seriously, like maybe that's giving you anxiety. Whatever it is, I want these decisions that you make to actually convince me on a pathos level. Pathos, to me, describes the emotion that the sound brings. How do we find that? In Ho sognato che stia a ginocchi come un santo che prega il Signor. How do we find pathos in that? Because I'm going to make you start that line again. I'm sorry, you guys have to go back and forth with the recording. I'll try to keep it
I could sing it a cappella if that would be more convenient.
I kind of want the accompaniment, because I want you to stay, literally, I want to see what your breath is doing with the rhythm of the accompaniment. Madison, good, great. We're going to try it again. I'm going to ask you to try something, okay? I'm going to ask you to affect the physical to bring a different feeling. So I want you to do this. I want you to collapse the mandibles. Oh, sognato. Okay, I want you to do that so everything's a little bit more raccolto. Raccolto means gathered. And I want you to do the whole thing with the same emotional physicality, which is, you're just about to cry. That's going to put you in a state of, I can't close, but I feel like this. So you have the height, and the sob action here keeps the color open. Chiaro, scuro. It's a position. Okay? So don't try to sing loud or soft. I want you to sing whatever this brings. Okay? If you want to do a cappella right there, go ahead. Oh, sognato. That's where it starts.
Sure. I'm sorry that I'm looking a bit down. I'm looking at the screen.
No worries.
The camera is up there.
I think you perfectly. Okay, stop. How does that feel different?
There's definitely more space.
Okay, so now what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you, rather than think that you have to sing out to us, okay? Oh, Sonia, that's a pushing forward of the sound. You don't need a pushing forward. What I want you to do is I want you to interrupt on an inhalatory action. Oh, sognato che stavi ginocchi. So it feels more like there's a legato flow through from here, okay? So it isn't a push, it's an interruption, and because everything's open, right? If everybody wants to do this, I can't see you, but if you all want to kind of do this, which is just collapsing any formation of a shape here and releasing, you feel the air directly, you feel the breath go up in height and deeper in the body, okay, which creates this cavern. The feeling that we mentioned before where it's Italians just sound like they never end their sound, it's because they keep this tube open all the time. So what in the tube, the only thing you can control is a consonant in the front and the singing of the vowel emotionally. The singing of the vowel as the note emotionally. So, oh, son, doesn't mean anything. Oh, sognato che stavi ginocchi. I knew every second what the word meant, and I was cultivating that vowel in an inhalatory action just to open my own instrument, because you know what? Everybody's instrument is beautiful in its own right. You don't sound like someone else. I don't want you to. I want you to sound like you. Okay, so a little bit less of the push, Madison, and a little bit more of the sob interruption, okay? Do this again because I just want you to, I want to get a little bit more vertical feel to it, okay? And one more time, can you give me a much more closed embouchure? Oh, I want to, here. It's not closed here, it's an inverted megaphone. But I want your O to be a little bit more closed or rounded at the front. Okay, can we just take a pause there and can you tell me what that feels like?
I definitely feel more of that darkness to, well, that's scuro to balance out the chiaro.
So I'm not looking for you to impose scuro, which means darkness. I'm looking for not losing lower partials, which is your mezzo sound, when you're singing the vowel up high. So, oh, sognato. Here's the thing. When we listen to Italians, that's what we think they're doing. We think they're brightening their vowels, right? Because sometimes they do, and it depends on the region in Italy, too, in terms of, you know, I mean, I'm from the Rome area, so everything's closed, right? But that also makes a more resonant sound. So, oh, sognato che stavi ginocchi. So I actually gathered it to create that smaller embouchure to prevent spreading. Because spreading for you takes me out of your natural vertical resonance. Can you put the accompaniment back on? I want you to sing like the whole first verse that way. What time is it? How am I doing, Blair?
3:04.
So I have like 10 minutes?
Yes, I was going to say 8 minutes, but 8 minutes will bring us at 25, and then if you want to move to the aria.
Excellent. Perfect. Great. Okay, so we're going to do the first verse like this. And Madison, when you get to the U vowel, tu parlavi, okay, tu parlavi, tu, instead tu. I want you to use an inhalatory action. Make sure the U, you feel like you absorb it into where you took the breath. Okay? No push, interruption, a little bit more tubular depth, right? Sing rounder from the embouchure to the open back. Got it?
Signor
Excuse me, you sound Italian.
Thank you.
There's such an evenness to your sound now. I don't feel like you're singing out of your sound to make an effect. Okay? The only thing I would correct in that is when you have an ah vowel, don't close the ah. I wanted just a round O, but when you say imploravi curvato il mio, you can open it. The other thing is I want you to always know that with this rounded form, when you breathe, can you feel the cool air go to the roof of your mouth?
I can feel it.
Okay, so what if I tell you that's your indication that even if you're singing round, you can still open the top? What if I tell you that that whole upper area, right, from breath to stretch, is pliable? It's a hard palate, but it doesn't matter. I can still stretch vowel against it. Right? I still have round from here, but I'm stretching the vowel. So stay aware that in what we're doing right now, I'm not abdicating collapsing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. This for me, what you just did is much more indicative of the meaning of the song, of the soul of the song, because it's your sound. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And when I did this, guys, this was literally just to say, if you didn't have back jaw area to use, what would your natural sound be? Because guess what? That doesn't articulate. Teeth, tongue, lips, okay? Marcello Marchesi, all of these old teachers said this functions separately from this, okay? The jaw can move up and down, but it doesn't connect to here, which would be like a holding on to the tongue. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? So perceiving of my articulation without the back of the jaw is super helpful, and I'm sure all of you have been told by your teacher at one time or another, release the jaw, release the jaw. It's not just release the jaw for release the jaw, it's actually going to increase the capacity for articulation, right? Solo un guardo che fossi promesso. There's nothing here. I have a Muppet mouth from there. Okay, so that's going to automatically, Madison, give you that color that you just sang with, as long as it doesn't ever feel laryngally weighty, because I'm not suggesting that at all. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Because it's coming from the breath. Beautiful. Okay, this is just such a gorgeous song for you. I'm curious to hear the aria because I know it well, and it's very contrasting, right? So you've sung this role, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so when you sang the role, how long ago was it?
2 times in 2017.
Okay, so orchestra, full production staged?
Orchestra, yes. My first production was with chamber orchestra, and my second was with orchestra, and they were staged. The first one had a more contemporary staging, and the second was more traditional. The second one was uncut, actually. Oh boy, that's a lot. Okay, that's a lot for everybody, the audience too. Okay, yeah, it's more fun to, I mean, you know, you got to bring lunch when you're the audience. Okay, so let me ask you, which approach did you like better of those 2 productions for yourself? I liked both of them a lot. I mean, the second one had more staging. The first one was more simply staged. But really, I liked both of them a lot. I mean, I really liked the uncut factor of the second production.
So I think what I'm asking actually is more about how accessible the character was. How accessible was the character of Rosina to you in less movement or more movement for you?
I think that she's very accessible to me in general. I don't remember whether I did more or less movement in either of the productions. Mm-hmm. Certainly in a virtual situation, I wouldn't really move around a lot. But I find her a very accessible and relatable character in general.
Okay, so give me a setting for you right now. Tell me what you're saying when you start this aria. Where you don't have to go from the libretto. I don't care. So I want you to set up exactly the scene. Where are you standing? Are you sitting? What are you doing? Who are you talking to? And what are you saying? And why?
Rosina has just been serenaded by Lindoro, of course, the Count Almaviva in disguise. And she is smitten with him, you know, a young girl in love for the very first time. And she has been very, very sheltered by Bartolo, whom she hates. She does not yet know that he's planning to marry her. She doesn't yet know that there is that danger, but she knows that she is trapped in her room between among four walls, and that she's dying of boredom. And Lindoro is her way out, her way away from Bartolo. And I mean, she's just smitten by this man who has been serenading her, and she's willful, she's strong, and she swears that Lindoro will be hers.
Okay, great. So I want you to use the part of that, which is that she's smart. Okay, so if she's smart, I want you to say you had to sneak out to figure out how to do this. All right? You had to sneak out. You had to not let Bartolo figure it out. Okay? And so when you get to the situation, you are aware that you found a way for you to be alone. I want you to go from the strong, smart part and less about the infatuation with Lindoro. Okay? Can you start it?
And I would like to credit my pianist, of course, Maestro Verdi.
That's so important. I love that she's doing that.
Sometimes I forget when they're virtual, but I need to make a point to remember, yes.
You're very polite. You're very sweet. That's really important. Madison, I'm going to stop you because we don't have that much time. Okay. Can I just ask, somebody who's on with us has noise in the background. Can you guys mute yourself except for Blair? Everybody mute yourselves while she's singing. Sorry about that, Madison. But I'm getting talking in between, and I just want to make sure that everybody's muted until there's a Q&A. Or just Blair, okay? You don't mute yourself, obviously.
Yeah, I'm actually muted too, so just to...
Okay, great. Okay, so everybody else mute so I don't get conversation in the background. There's a bleed through. Madison, so is this how you usually start the aria, or did you do something because I told you to?
I normally start the aria more with the infatuation and then bring in the strength when she swears Lindoro will be mine, and then bring in the smarts later when she starts saying, oh yes, I'm docile, I'm obedient.
Okay, so I'm asking you to integrate those things. So because I felt that was too covered. That was una voce poco fa. I want all of the text exposed. Remember we were talking with Diane about volume or presence of sound? Okay, I want the presence of sound. So you're going to have to not wait to integrate those things. I want them all at once. Okay, do it again. Mm-hmm.
Una voce poco fa, qui nel cor mi risuonò, il mio cor ferito è già, e l'indorfo che il piano si mio sarà. Lo giurai, la vincerò, sì, mio sarà, lo giurai, la vincerò.
Okay, good. So I love you in this role. This is a great role for you. It fits you. It is a mezzo role, by the way. Sopranos sometimes sing it. It's a mezzo role. I got a 2-minute sign from Blair, so I'm just going to bring up a couple of things. So what I want you to think about, Madison, is that how you would say it? Una voce poco fa, qui nel cor mi risuono. Would you say, okay, you have enough experience with this role. You know you have the technique to do it, right? So in a way, this is so cool this happened. I'm kind of inverting how you worked an art song and an aria. I wanted the art song a little bit more lushy, and from a sobbed point of view, I want this spoken. Until you get to the E's and the up. Una voce poco fa, qui nel cor mi risuono. It's conversational, right? A little while ago, I heard this sound and then I felt it in my heart. Okay? So what you need to do with this to really make it spontaneous, in the moment, and me to believe what you're saying. Because I believe you're great for the role. I don't believe what you're saying, though. Okay? Because everything sort of has the same out feeling to all of what you're saying in the first page. Okay? So save them. Go back. I think this is really helpful for everybody until you are fluent in the language. And when I say fluent in the language, I don't just mean you learned how to speak it. You can function it. You dream in it. Right? So it has that feeling about una voce poco fa, qui nel cor mi risuono. Right? That's conversational. Okay, then we have to do it with the rhythm. But first you have to treat it like a monologue. That would be very helpful to you. You have the voice for this. There's no question about it. Right? And why do you do that? Why does she do that?
She's excited.
Okay, but she isn't excited like she's going to throw away it, okay? Take and slow down a word if you say that's the stress of what the word is, okay? We're taught, much technically, to rush through everything. I can't tell you how many times I feel people rush recitativi because they think they have to go fast. Why go fast if there's no context? If there's no actual stresses, or you can't control how you get in and out of the conversation. Does that make sense? So that's what I would recommend for you in this, is to take a little bit more specificity about how you're saying it. And again, speak it outside of the opera in Italian. I also want you to sing it in English. I want you to go back and sing it in English. Sometimes when we do that, even if the translation isn't very good, we have much more specificity about why or how we're saying something. Okay? Brava. Fantastic. I'm so happy to hear you again. This was such a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad. Okay, so let's see. Let me turn the page.
Next up, Jose.
Okay, let me click on him.
He'll be singing Caro mio ben.
Yep. I'm not hearing anything.
Jose, are you there? I see Jose. I see the picture. There he is. He's unmuting.
Great. Ciao. How are you? Good afternoon. Oh, you have to unmute yourself, Jose.
Good morning.
Oh, there you are.
Hello?
Hello. Okay, so your volume's a little low. Are you all the way up on your volume?
Let me check.
That's better. I'm just afraid if you stand back too far, I won't be able to hear. This is always an issue online, so don't worry. We just need to make sure that I have what I need to hear your voice closely enough.
Okay, is that better?
Good. Yes. Fantastic. Bingo. Great. Okay, so a couple of questions before you start, Jose. So you chose Caro mio ben, which is such an interesting, I mean, I love this. It's such an interesting choice, right? Because why would you choose Caro mio? You've gone through school, you've done a grad program. Like, they think of the 24 Italian art songs like kindergarten, right?
Right.
But they're not, are they? Right. Okay. So tell me why you chose Caro mio ben.
I chose Caro mio ben because, I mean, I know we learned it early on, but then who I was 10 years ago is not who I am now. And my teacher is very big on less is more. And so there's always more. And which is kind of why from aria I picked Largo. It's because I always feel like it's new every day. It's always changing, especially that aria.
Oh, you better believe it.
So I thought this would be so at first I figured it'd be a good contrast with the legato line and you utilizing the legato line and then Bel Canto. I mean, I feel like it's like a perfect way to have a little more of a carte blanche to fill in with such beautiful simple melody, but to make it layered, more layers.
I love that answer. I love your reasoning. It's wonderful, and you know that Pavarotti swore by these songs, and he'd sing them every day. You know, I think these 24 Italian art songs are exactly the point that they change as you change, right? Because they say, oh, it's the structure of opera. Not really. I mean, for the Italian, for the middle voice, yes, right? But when we get into opera and we have the acuti to deal with and we have all those other aspects, there's a little bit more athleticism required in the technique. But to sing an art song like this, to sing one of these Italian art songs, O mio dolce ardor, one of my favorite versions ever is Renata Tebaldi. It's so simple, but it's just in this balanced instrument. So I'm thrilled. So let me hear Caro mio ben.
Okay. Which one was it going to use? Good afternoon. My name is José Luis Maldonado, and I will be singing Caro mio ben by Giordani. Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te languisce il cor. Caro mio ben, senza di te languisce il cor. Il tuo fedel sospira ognor, cessa crudel tanto rigor, cessa crudel tanto rigor, tanto rigor. Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te languisce il cor.
Bravo! Oh my goodness. Okay. I loved it. First of all, you're so connected. You're so connected to first, your language is beautiful. Bravo, bravo on the Italian. Really. It's glorious. It's not just that you pronounce it well, you use it. You use it. You stretch, you emote with what you understand so well, the insides of the text, okay? You have joy, so much joy in you. And so I think what I'd like to sort of play with, there's two things, right? There's the vocal, and then there's also how you constructed the piece, what your journey was. You have a beautiful voice. I think you have a beautiful voice. Now, my favorite part of the whole thing, vocally, was the last page. Why?
Because I wasn't thinking about singing anymore.
Oh, that's such a good answer. It's totally the right answer. When you are so well prepared, as you are with a song, when you're so well prepared, and it usually happens sort of, because let's face it, as singers, we're always nervous at the beginning. I don't care how many times you've done something. Man, I'll never forget. I've sung Ned 100,000 times. Every time I'd sit there and wait for I was like, what's going to come out? Is it going to be okay today? Like, there's no way I could have not felt that or thought that, right? So a little bit is like testing the waters when you first come in. Then the breath starts to move with the way in which you're singing and you're saying the text, and then you forget about it. And what's the result of that, Jose? What's the result of that? So I would say 3/4 of the way through, you were right. You were in the groove in every way. What does that mean to you?
That I have I have to just jump in the beginning. The energy is that it's there. I just have to trust it since before the music starts.
So this is interesting because I'm not asking you what you did wrong. I'm asking you what you did right. So when I say that last paragraph from what about that felt so engaged, able to create and sing with the full quality of your voice? Because those three things existed there. What did you do right?
I wasn't in this room anymore. At that point, I was somewhere else. There was someone in front of me, and I was saying something.
Fantastic. So we're talking about an art song. What if I was saying this is the same thing in Valentin, which is not an easy aria, is it? Right?
Right.
Okay. Right. So you have the same question. You have the same requirement. I start. How am I going to get out of this room? Your words, okay? Right. So I'd like you to figure out a way to cultivate that. Now, one thing is, we talked a little bit, I referred to this with Diane, which is that piano singing is, of course, what we want to use. You can't lose the quality of your sound when you choose a piano. Does that make sense? Right. Okay? So you're a baritone, okay? I feel that a lot of how you set things up was a little tenoral, maybe in who you'd heard sing it. Okay, now that's because I'm referred to as the voice whisperer. Some of my students, okay, because I can hear what you think, and it's just, that's part of what comes to us as we listen to different artists. But what key are you singing this in?
C.
Right, and so that's like medium, right? That's when we think about it, it's not high or low, it's medium. It's right. Where it should be. I'd be curious to hear you sing it a step lower.
Lower, okay.
Yeah, could you do me a favor? So can you just go, do you have a piano near you? Or can you alter that?
Let me look for a lower one.
I just want you to try it, okay? And I'm not saying we're going to change the key forever, but I want you to experience it in a lower key.
Oh, actually, this is a low key.
Darn it. Okay, so
I can do it.
I'm going to turn the piano around, okay? I have my thing around because I'm going to the piano. Give me a second. I told Blair I might have to do this. Right, that's in C, right? Caro, mio ben. I just want you to sing it a cappella from there. It's a B flat first.
Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te languisce il cor.
Can you tell me how that feels?
Gordon McRae.
Love that answer. Hey, I love him. Okay, so here's the thing. Now you're going to do it again, because that was weird to do it a step lower for you, but I want you to emote the same way. What I felt is by starting even a step lower, Jose, I had a lot more of your richness right off the bat. That can be the eye seeing the music. It can say, it's higher. Felt more planted in your lower body, and therefore I had a more natural beginning of the aria. You see what I'm saying? So
right.
We're just playing this way, and then you're going to go back to the key of C. There are a few things. I literally want you to, your teacher's probably going to kill me, but I want you to scoop from the bottom in senza di te languisce il cor. I want more sobbing from the bottom to get up to the top on your approaches. Okay. This is an Italian song. I can say this because I'm Italian. We exaggerate. We love to, like, you know, pull and push and stretch, and you know, you can do that. You can give me a little bit more of the stylistic through. Okay. Even if it feels like too much. The exaggeration is going to be interesting for you. So can you start again on the B flat? Do you need it? Want me to play it?
I think maybe, actually.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay. Here I come.
Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te languisce il cor.
Okay, there can't be anybody that didn't love that. Okay, but what did it feel like to you to start like that? So, as you said, the start of the piece itself. What did it feel like to start like that? Were you less intended? Were you still connected to the text?
Yeah, I think aesthetically or visually, I keep picturing a blanket. So when I said Gordon McRae, I meant that part of soliloquy, My Little Girl.
Yes,
big,
correct.
Yeah, so it's like a caress, baritone caress instead of that.
Who else do you love singing soliloquy?
John Raitt.
Yes, and?
Thomas. I like Thomas Hampson.
Good.
Gunn.
So your voice...
Merrill. I like Merrill's version too.
Very nice. He's the one I want you to listen to, okay? He's the one with the chocolate voice. I mean, I love Gordon McRae. I love all of them. I love Howard Keel.
Yeah, Keel.
Howard Keel, right? Okay, so you have all of these. They all use their voice differently, which gets them to the core of the character, right? So let's choose who you're singing to.
To my love.
Yeah, it's not specific enough. Okay, who is she? How'd you meet her? Is it new? Is it old? Why are you doing this?
She left halfway across the world. Cruel. So cruel. But it's necessary, but it's cruel.
So you're in a long distance relationship.
Yes.
Okay. Is she in front of you? Are you on the phone? How are you singing this to her?
She was in front of me. But I guess now she's not in front of me.
Well, how about she's visiting and then she's leaving?
Okay.
All right. So we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it in the key of C. But you're not going to lose any of the core you just sang it with. Okay? So on a technical level, Jose, let me get the C, sorry. Okay, so you need to start the sound And then on the second half of the A vowel, okay, the second half of the first syllable, ka, you need to yawn into the lower body. You can't just do a shallow version. Even though we hear that, right? I mean, I know Thomas, I know Nathan, and they can affect that in a musical, like sort of a art songy way. I don't want it. Because I hear just as much intensity, just as much meaning and truth in the full color of your instrument. Does that make sense? Okay? Then you can go back to piano and pushing and pulling, knowing where the anchor and where the center of the sound is first. That's why I made you go down to the B flats. Now you're going to go back up to the C, but you're not going to say, you're not going to reach.
Okay.
Wait, I got to go to the C again. Okay. And could you do me one more favor? Could you start the whole thing with the low C at the high? Add an octave to the beginning.
Okay. Do you want it with the accompaniment or a cappella?
Do just the first line without the accompaniment, then we'll put it back in, okay?
Okay.
Put the lower octave in.
Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te languisce il cor.
Thank you, Mr. Merrill. That's right, okay? That's right. That's how he would sing it, isn't it? True? Okay, so it's a little in our face, right? I like that. That's me, right? I like in my face in terms of the quality. And now put back some of what you want. Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te languisce il cor. Right? That's what you're saying. Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te languisce il cor. Right? You're killing me here, honey. You're leaving again. Okay? So I want you to now give me back those words. You don't have to divorce yourself from what you felt, and I'm going to call it this, from what you felt in the good support behind your chest. This had more chest in it, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You can still sing piano with chest. You're just going to sob out of it. Okay, so play a little bit again with that. Put the accompaniment on so you can do that. What happened when I made you hook the lower octave to the first note?
It definitely stayed anchored, and the sound that came out that's it's interesting because this sound I never really it's always been hard to connect it with my classical singing. This is my Americana sound, so I always feel like patriotic.
Are you kidding me? This is hilarious.
But
hilarious.
How can I do it? And I think we're figuring it out now. So.
This is so melding the verismo with the meaning and with the color of your voice, right? This is you. My whole goal is to help all of you be you, right? So this is you. So add octaves in whenever you feel like, damn, I crooned. Right? Go, I got to figure out the truth.
Yeah. And
with the center of my sound.
That's even why I said soliloquy, because that's been one of the comments. The last I did the Met audition when I was in the regionals a couple of years ago. They said you're crooning Verdi. I was like, what? I'm having a flashback.
Bingo. All right, and you know what? It's just, it's also being. We'll talk about this in the Q&A too, but it's being monitored in terms of what is the true expectation as you learn, as you grow. You're still young, right? So all of these things are coming to you and like, wow, as my voice grows, I can use it like this, right? So we're here to open that up and say, there was more chest in that, and I still said what I meant. Okay? Go ahead, turn on the accompaniment.
Thank you. Caro di te languisce il cor. Caro mio ben, senza di te languisce il cor.
Jose, unbelievable. Okay, that is ready for a recording.
Oh.
I'm serious, okay? Because you just put this all together, love. You just put this all together. I believed everything you said. More fun for you, and wait till you get to the aria. Okay, more fun for you is say, I'm going to do this sitting down now. I'm going to do this leaning against a wall now. See if you can come up with the core of the song, which you just did. The sob is a very interesting suggestion for you, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Sob is important. It's not an imposition. Italians live in sob. Trust me. Complaining, sobbing, that's what we do. Okay, but in the music, in the physical part of getting into the sound, it's everything. It relaxes the larynx. It accesses the color. It allows you to get up and down. You just did exactly everything I just asked you. The voice is ready to do that, Jose. Singing like this is so career worthy. There's no doubt. No doubt. Okay? And so you have to say, okay, I did that with Caro mio ben, which people consider kind of boring, right? So with an aria, it should be easier because there's more activity in it, right? So we're going to do a little bit of largo, okay? Yeah, so just start. I'm going to have to stop you because we don't have that much more time, but I want to see, who is your favorite person singing this?
I don't know if I have a favorite. This is a tough piece. This
Give me, you think? You think?
In the sense of, I don't know. It's a little bit of everybody.
I have people in major career that I've taken this away from. I'm like, why? I'm like, you have other things. I'm not saying I'm going to take it away from you. I'm just saying because it's hard. You're right. And it doesn't matter who you are or where you are. It's hard. Okay, so go back to Caro mio ben and start it like that.
Okay. Oops. Let me get hooked up to the speaker. La 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 la. Largo factotum della città largo. La 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 la. Presto bottega che la vai già presto. La 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 la. Oh, che bel vivere, che bel piacere, che bel piacere per un barbiere di qualità, di qualità. Oh, bravo Figaro, bravo, bravissimo, bravo. La 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 la. Fortunatissimo per verità, bravo. La 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 la. Fortunatissimo per verità. Fortunatissimo per verità. La 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 la.
Okay, Jose? Wow. I know, I had to stop you. Listen, it's a fantastic RFU. Can you please take a breath before la? Take a breath.
Okay.
Don't connect it. You're a chicken because you're like, if I stop, I won't get it. Yes, you will. Okay? I want a little bit more la. I want a little bit more open chest from the beginning of the phrase all the way through, and then take a breath before la.
Okay.
Okay? Just because what's happening is you're in there. It's totally you. This is fantastic RFU. It's totally you. Language is beautiful. That's most of the reason why I think it would be taken away from people is because can they handle linguistically what needs to happen? And you can. connecting. Why do you connect it? Why do you think you connect it?
Probably to keep the breath not so the breath doesn't reset it. It just stays.
Guess what? You can reset the breath. You do it all the time. We do it all the time in all kinds of pieces, right? I go, hello. Then you can anchor the L on the bottom and just sing straight up in a vertical way.
Okay.
Because la was a little spread and you exhale through it. That doesn't feel good.
Right. Okay.
You're gonna have to reset after. So just try the line up until you take a breath for the first la.
Okay. La 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 la. Largo. La 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 la.
Oh, really? I'd pay for that. Come back, you're frozen. Blair, are you frozen?
No, seems like there might be a little technical glitch on his end.
Yeah, because he took a breath and it was great. He blew out.
No, it was fantastic. It was true.
Yes, it was. So I'm going to move on.
I would pay for that too. So it looks like
right.
One.
Right. So I'm going to go into Samantha, but I think he probably has to. Oh, there you are. You came back. Okay, Jose, can we agree that that's a good idea?
You're muted, Jose.
You're muted, honey.
Okay, hello?
Can we agree that that breath is a good idea?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was magnificent, okay? So let yourself take the breaths where you need to so it feels clean and it feels fresh, right? Just the physical idea of it. Don't let a coach tell you, you can't take a breath there. If you need it, take it. Take it. Because that is exactly what's necessary.
That felt a little different. When you first said it, I was like, oh, I hope I don't scoop. But I don't feel like I scoop, so I don't
No, you did what I said. La, you anchored the L in the lower part of your body. That's not a scoop, that's an appoggia.
Oh.
Right? You sang from the baritone life, not the tenor life. Okay? So instead of la, that went I lifted my larynx and I put the L high instead of breath. La. Easy, right? It came from that open channel in the lower part of the body. Magnificent. I want to keep an eye on you. You're really special. That was really great. Okay, thank you for letting me pick on you. And we'll talk a little bit at the Q&A. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. Fantastic.
Thank
Fantastic.
you
Bravo. So our last singer of the day, Samantha Burke, will be singing one of my favorite songs by Liszt.
Oh my God, no kidding.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Samantha Burke, and I will be singing I vidi in terra angelici costumi by Liszt. And the aria that I have today is Tu puniscimi, o Signore, from Verdi's Louisa Miller.
Samantha, before you start the list, can you just tell me something? Why did Liszt write a song in Italian?
Well, Liszt went everywhere as a pianist, and he never felt like he had a home. When he was writing the sonnets, he, just like Petrarch had left France, because his father wanted him to be a lawyer, went to Italy, right? As I understand it, is Liszt, he himself felt this sense of constant moving. He was a superstar, like performing everywhere. And so he had many loves. And I think that unlike Petrarch had one true love, this Laura, right? Whereas Liszt had many different loves and many different children and things like that. So I think this was a time in Liszt's life when he wrote this, when he was very centered. He was searching. He was still young, but searching for home.
Beautiful. That's exactly what I needed. Okay? Thank you so much, Samantha. That song is so overwhelming. See, it wants to keep going. That is, I don't know. It's like so many things in one, right? Not just an art song. When the agitato starts, it's so operatically theatrical, but stays within. I mean, Liszt's piano part, of course, is complex because he is, right? Yes, he is the virtuoso that he is. What I wrote down some vocal things, but first I want to say I can tell that you're an instrumentalist because you have such incredible commitment to the emotion and the touch of the sound at the same time, and I appreciate that so much. Being a violinist, my daughter's a violist, and I live in a house with lots of viola, right? And have listened in on her lessons a lot too, which is interesting because I learned so many analogies even from her teacher teaching her in one way that I was able to transfer to the voice, which is something that I want you to access yourself to because it's going to make a big difference. So we could talk about what works in that and what doesn't, right? Because we all have a particular way of approaching the voice. So I would say that, who did you listen to in this?
Originally Pavarotti, and then Bruce Ford, and then my most favorite, Margaret Price.
Okay, Price is spectacular. I do want you to listen to Scotto too. And there's a reason I want you to listen to Renata Scotto. Renata Scotto sometimes has a little pitchiness, but what she does with hover, what she does with this ethereal, constant moving spin of the vowel to create the sound is something you can really, really, really feel when you're listening to it. She does it very piano, most of it, okay, but from the dolce point. And I think also hearing her sing the language, because she's Italian. Pavarotti is one thing, but Pavarotti has one sound. Loved him, right? Won his competition, know him well. One sound. You need so many colors. You need so many colors in this, which corresponds to where you are in the voice, Samantha. Okay? Your colors have to change as you go through the voice. The technique doesn't, but the colors do, right? So there's parts, when I did this with Madison, I'm going to do it with you too, in certain sections, because I want you to feel what it is, not to retract into closing the mouth to make something musical. Now, I'm going to relate that to playing the violin. When you play something and you want something tiny, you use less bow, right? Or you use pizzicato, whatever it might be, right? Okay. Larger, lusher is this, right? When you sing forte, your breath needs to have more long bows. More long bows in coming in. I know it's an art song, but as you can probably figure out by today, art song is not just art song today, is it, right? Okay, because you have all the musical. You understand this piece. I also couldn't stop listening to Horowitz. I couldn't stop listening to Horowitz play the Sonetto 104 Petrarca. You have to listen to it.
I've heard it.
I mean, okay. He shows us in the piano what chiaroscuro means. And I mean, can you believe I'm saying that? Right? I mean, it really is. If you can feel, as you're listening to him, I want you to listen to it sometime tonight. How is it possible? He hits a key and there's this reaction from his touch that's exactly what he wants musically. Physically, he accomplishes what he wants musically. So I'm going to ask you, because Horowitz is a physical player. He's not show-offy. He just does what's necessary. I want you to come from your physical to give what you want in the phrase. So I'm going to mess around with you a little bit, okay? And just see if you can feel some of these phrases in a slightly different way to loosen things up. One thing I would be very conscious, Samantha, don't straight tone too much. The reason for that is it feels musical, but it basically sticks the sound to the side or the back. It doesn't have enough spin in it. So we're going to try a couple of sections like this with much more vibration, okay, and spinning tone, and you're going to be like, well, how did that happen? I didn't even do it myself, okay? And that's the best answer when somebody says, that doesn't feel like I did it. That's right, because your body did it and just the action of what you're doing. You can't affect your own voice, Samantha. You have a violin, you have the sounding board, you have the wood, you have the bow. Your voice, you get what you get. You don't throw a fit, right? We all have the voice that we have, okay? So we have to learn how to get 100% of what that wants to give us. So technically, pushing too hard, withdrawing, any of those choices that we make has to be first laden in what's the balance of air pressures, height, depth to accomplish that. Okay, so that's why I just want to give you a chance to feel things in a little bit of a different way. Okay, so we said that the breath needs a little bit more long bows, okay? That doesn't mean to pack your breath. It's not, I don't want that, right? I just want you to let it pass through the body a little bit longer before you come into the phrase. So the first thing I'm going to have you, let me pick a phrase. Can we go to, let's start, aha mohando sole, tarimento. Okay, see where we are? You're going to have, do you have a piano near you, love?
Yes, I do.
Okay, otherwise you probably have perfect pitch because you're a violinist.
On some days.
So go, yeah, play aha mohando sole for me for a second. Okay, so, oh my gosh, so I want you to know how you just played that so musically was a violinist, and I'll tell you why, okay? Da 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 da. You tapered.
Yes.
You can't taper as a singer.
Oh.
Why? Why? We can affect it differently. We can change from O to U, and we got a dolce, we got a piano. Why can't we taper, Samantha?
Because then it's going to close the throat, no?
Correct. Absolutely right. Okay. So hold on one second because I'm going to turn you around for a second. I want to be able to have access to the piano too. Oh my God, the smell is so nice. My daughter just dropped off a Starbucks for me. All right. So that is a fantastic phrase and very vocal. But you're going through more than one part of the register. So I'm going to have you go like this, okay? Which is literally just to collapse the jaw. You're going to sing ooh on the bottom, and you're going to open to O at the top, okay? So it'll sound like this. And I want you to know that your breath coming into that, I want you to take a breath. I want you to maybe, can you breathe through your nose for a minute? Like pouty face, like full face. Relax the front, relax. It's on the inside that you feel that kind of sobby thing, okay? It's going to feel more inside, okay? So you're going to breathe through your nose. You're going to do this oo to o. Ready?
Ooh to o.
Yeah, now hold on. That ooh is in your mouth. If you collapse this, ooh, by the time you finish your breath, the ooh is going to be directly behind the abdominals, which are going to release, so the diaphragm has room to create the good pressure against it. So what I'm saying is that's going to start really low in your belly. So ooh is going to be O in the back. Ooh in the front, O in the back at the same time, okay? Do it again. I loved it.
Don't take these.
Yes, well, hold on a second. So to start that way, what did that feel like?
It felt like a compression happened.
Yep.
That I do seek all the time. But then once I'm going up, I do feel that resistance.
Yes, correct.
And opening up to O, Opening up to O felt as though there was like, it felt as though this was happening and then that, and then a release.
Correct. Yes. And again, the word is sole, so it's actually an O up there when we get there. Okay? That's the other good part. Whatever you're feeling physically, we're going to be able to translate that to the line. What I want you to do, when you get to these middle three, instead of I don't want you to close your mouth and make it bright. I want you to leave it alone. I want you to leave it stretched in the lengthy position that the vowel came in on. So when the O comes out, yes, it means there's more pressure down there so that you can stretch the O and open it from the same embouchure, from the same mouth. But I want you to create what's called I call a C curve, right? It's rounder in the back. Okay. You don't need to affect the sound at all. I'm asking you to organically sing whatever comes out.
Okay, I got it.
Right? Okay. So the other thing, don't take too much time when you get to the sole. I don't want to scoop because it weights your throat. That's why it feels hard.
I see.
Okay. Say the O right away over the top of the F. Okay, when you get there. And I want you to repeat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 O's in the middle of your head. Don't say them, but I want you to repeat them. Okay? Put all that together. I know I'm throwing a lot at you. God bless you. What'd that feel like?
Up. It's a lot. It's a whole lot of voice. I don't know. I'm starting to say. I don't mean that like cocky, but like or anything.
No, that's a fantastic answer. Because that's your voice. So here's the thing. If imposing on the sound, I just closed my throat. Right? If there is a length and breath, I feel like not only is the roof of my mouth, right, doming as I'm moving up, but this behind the chest and that lower distension you're feeling about. I have a lovely saying that I'm like, if, and particularly for women, because we're all shamed and be skinny, don't eat, blah, right? Love thy muffin top. Because if it's not rolling out, you're not using your breath. There's no way, okay? So that abdominal release is so important. I felt da-da-da. I felt 1, 2, 3 rolls of my lower abdominals, right? Because the pressure is increasing the necessity for the abdominals to release. If you tighten the abdominals and shorten the vowel, how are you going to go up and down?
That makes sense.
Right? Okay, because if you go, woo, woo, we do sirens, it's to actually ignite that and the stretch at the top.
Okay.
At the same time. Okay? So we're going to try this again. And I still want ooh vowels in the middle right here, Samantha. And they're going to feel darker than you're used to doing them. Darker, deeper, right? No back jaw. Ooh. It requires you to go into your body. You have no choice. That's why I do this.
Front.
Right? And then the back opens as we move. So I think the D flat on mondo, I think that already is an O. Oh.
All right.
Okay, let's try one more time. And can you also do one more thing? Can you take your breath and say, I'm going to take the breath for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for 5 notes. So if I took the bow and I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's using your breath. Okay.
Ooh, you said
ooh. All ooh. How many O's did you say up there?
I forgot to count.
I knew it, right? Okay, so 1, 2, we're going to say 3. 1, 2, 3, resolve. But as you're saying those 3, that's so that you can keep stretching open if you need to.
Okay. Like,
right? That's a whenever you want to increase the dynamic or you want to get a little bit more core in the sound, go back to the embouchure to stretch the back.
go
Try it again. Like,
Yeah.
see how I use a square mouth so that I can open, right? The inhalatory action is also opening my back. If I go, if I leave a placid, flat mouth, I don't have any shape on the inside.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Try it again. Yes, ma'am.
Believe it. I love
That
that.
was great. Okay, now one more time, sweets, and you're not going to let go of your face for the high. Which means the roof of your mouth's going to just come off. Trust me. Okay? Your breath, don't cheat. Don't take it off. I want you to really feel how easy this is. Same thing.
I didn't do the embouchure. Once more, no?
Okay. Kinda. You're dying to use the back jaw to sing the O. And you're
Right.
becoming ah. Roof of the mouth. Right up the top of the center of the roof of the mouth. Just do those three notes. Da da da. What? That was so good. Did that feel freer?
Absolutely.
Okay, so in that phrase that we just did, Samantha, where was the vibrato? You didn't do it intentionally, it just happened correctly.
It's like almost like right before I started.
Yes. That means the vowel is creating the spin of the vowel. Okay, now I want you to do it on the words. Da, 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 da. Okay, I want you to do it on the words, right? But each vowel, okay, is going to have a physical spin. Okay, so let's just take a, hold on, I'm causing myself all kinds of problems going back and forth.
Andrea, I'm sorry, we're getting close to time if you want to still have, I know you.
I think I just want to work on this. You know why,
Okay.
Samantha? It's the same. This is literally an aria. And everything I'm doing this, you can put it to tupunishi.
Oh, perfect.
Okay,
So yeah, 5 more minutes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so so look at those vowels, Samantha. Right? What do you have?
Oh. And
Yeah, right? So we're going to use the middle ones of mondo as oo. So again, these go into the body. When you start, Samantha, let the inhale go all the way to the bottom of the body before you start. Oh, and then open your throat so that it just feels like it's coming out without you. Yes. There's nothing in the way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You even did it on the text. And the reason text is harder is because O, E doesn't feel like the same shape. O, E is wide, right?
Yeah.
So Italians, this is why I want you to listen to Scotto. How did I sing an E with my mouth open?
Okay. You pulled it. You just made the shape of A in the tongue, but keep
Correct. And I want you to give yourself permission for that, right? You study your language specifically, so we see that. But sometimes our visual doesn't allow us to adapt to what the body wants. Okay? And I also say that because you want to taper, instead of the vowel E, can you use I like spit and really cry?
Okay.
Okay? Good. Now I'm going to add one more thing. I know I'm working on one phrase, but that's because you have a fantastic instrument. And right now it perceives itself, this is just my opinion, it perceives itself as more musical than vocal.
I would say.
Okay? So I want the ease of all of this to then allow you, because this song can get tiring. It's long, and then it goes into the apracuti a lot at the end, right? So can you also take your breath a little bit closer to the sound? So I emotionalized that breath. I went, oh, like, oh, I'm so sad, or oh, I'm so happy to see you. But you have to say a vowel without saying it when you breathe. See what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay, one more time.
Should I keep this?
You choose. You choose. I also want, give me more of that upper. Can you think on the F that you're going to trill? The repeats are going to feel like a trill. Don't trill, but think the repeats of that vowel up, they're going to feel like a trill.
Okay. No. I'm on your side.
Holy kaboli. That's a good holy kaboli.
Oh, okay.
You feel that?
Yes.
It felt like one instrument all the way up and down. Does it make sense?
Yes, it makes complete sense.
And you didn't run out of breath, and you didn't feel like you had to reach, and a natural chest voice on the D came from inhalatory low apoggia. That's all, right? To literally let, oh, it's still free in the back of the throat, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I want you to notice that, right? So by using the breath and sob and how we're getting in and out of this, we're not packing the throat, we're emptying it. Emptying it. You need to get used to, in your voice, emptying the throat through the breath and singing in the air. Singing in the air, right? And that's really what it feels like. Okay? You have a beautiful voice. And I think right now, closing the mouth or pushing forward is counter-working to you feeling the resonance inside more, the exchange of things inside the body. Remember that thing at the fair? It looks like a Ferris wheel, but it's skinny. It was called the zipper. It was tall, low, tall, low. It's not that big. It's this way. It's like, it's an exchange up and down. Or that thing where you drop the balls, it goes dot, 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 dot. That's more what it feels like on the inside and the access to those things. You're so musical. You're brilliant. I read all your information. Oh, and by the way, funny, I'll be in Atlanta in April because I do master classes with the HBCU schools there.
Yay! How
Are
wonderful.
you there or here?
I'm here in Atlanta right now.
Fantastic. So you got to keep in touch with me because I'd love to have you come. I'm going to come live, I hope. So you're fantastic. Thank you for letting me torture you a little bit. And that's amazing. And everybody, I think Blair's going to come back on, and I think we can do a little Q&A. I'm going to go until I hear somebody knock at my door.
Well, first of all, Andrea, thank you so much. I mean, this was so wonderful to hear. I mean, there's never a lack of invaluable information when you teach a class for us. So I'm always happy to have you present. So you always have a home with ASPS.
Well, and let me tell you, thank you for these extraordinary artists that I got to work with today. This is so thrilling. Everybody brought so much beauty and capacity and willingness, and that's a joy for me too, because then I can really do my thing.
It truly is. I mean, we had 4 incredible singers, all completely different. So it was so wonderful to hear them all sing and have you work with them. Are there any questions? Does anyone, there's a small enough group where I think it's okay to go ahead and just unmute yourself if you have a question, and feel free to ask directly. If you're shy, then you can just write it in and I'm happy to read it.
Hi, just talk to me. Now you know me.
Hi. Beautiful class. Everybody did great.
I know her. She's far away. One of my family, my loves. Fantastic voice teacher.
Yeah, I was wondering, I had myself off camera because I noticed everyone else was off camera. So is that what you prefer? Because some people prefer that.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine this way. If you like to ask a question that way, then I get to see your beautiful expression and how you ask the question. I'm fine with it.
Don't mind. Okay.
So any questions? Do we have any? This is a perfect time, either about what you heard today, about repertoire, career advice, the voice in general, Bel Canto. Please, fire away.
If you could just talk a little bit about the voice as opposed to an instrument and the O sound that you got her to produce.
Absolutely. So I think that coming from the Italianate world, right? I'm Italian, and I only ever really studied with Italians, and so it was sort of inherent that I was expected to learn to create sound from the inside out, right? The inside out. So, and I had a journey. I started as a mezzo. I wasn't one. I was a spinto, but I was diagnosed as a mezzo, and then little by little, through my work in New York, and also through my own self-exploration, discovered I had a dramatic voice, more, butterfly and so forth. Really staying truthful to what my real sound was. So in regards to what me using this, okay, which is just basically collapsing any way of sticking sound to the back of the jaw, the tongue, or anything that a singer, through lack of body activity, through how they stick here or they try to place, this substitutes them being able to do that and going straight down into the mechanism of the breathing in a lower capacity. So I love this, and sometimes it's easier to do it on one vowel, for instance, because the bodies is open in one channel, and moving through the registers on one vowel, right, allows the singer to develop a relationship with what it feels depending on where they are on the register. So that's why I love that particular one. Also, if you think about it, we hear people say, well, vowels are supposed to fit into each other. I use a lot of oo and e's together because they could be contrary, oo, e, oo, but they're not. If they're vertical, which is again release of the jaw and just lip action, because those are the articulators. Marcello Marchese, old teacher who used to, fantastic technician, a million years ago, he used to say 2 years of vocal eases before you touch repertoire. You can't get away with that these days, right? Because we're all impatient and we want. However, if you realize the value of negotiating or allowing one vowel to move to the next through the breath, through the sing, go away. If you can realize the benefit of that physically, it transfers immediately to the musical. Now, the issue here too is that Marchese used to say the A vowel is the enemy. She used to call it like blasphemy. It doesn't fit in the voice because it spreads. If you feel something spreads, I've just closed off all vertical opening, both in my body and this. So again, doing this gave me a completely different sensation. So that's just maybe one little way in which to sort of come back to your body, come back to what your natural sound really is. Because I think a lot of singers don't know, right? Can you excuse me 1 second? I'm coming back.
Come back.
Any other questions? Anyone else have a question you want to put in the chat box, or feel free again to unmute yourself. We have Dr. Maya Hoover here, who actually taught a wonderful masterclass for us this fall. Latin American. Actually, this time we didn't just do Latin American song. We included Spanish art songs in the Spanish language. And she's going to participate on a talk next month about the diversification of song, because I really am hoping that singers begin to introduce more Spanish language art song and African American songs or songs written by African American composers into their repertoire.
I'm back.
And here she is.
Yeah, I gave the duties to my daughter. That's what you're supposed to do. Okay, good, great. Okay, so who else has a question? And I have all your resumes too, and I kind of memorized them.
I have a question.
That's my love.
So when you were, you said that you moved from mezzo repertoire to soprano repertoire, which I've also done. Sorry, I'm a little sick today. I'm sorry.
Here, and you know what? I can't believe you hung in there with me because I hear that you have some raspies, which means you're sick. So thank you for hanging in there.
Yeah.
Full at the end, so the breathing was working. But after this, don't sing for a while. Let yourself heal up.
So, for example, when did you know, and when did you know what repertoire to work? In my case, I've always felt very comfortable since I was in undergraduate to sing Verdi. I studied all of Desdemona. I studied like Il Corsaro and other things, and I sing still those arias and things like that, and they feel really good. But also, I've been casted as Carmen this year in my school's opera.
I saw that.
How do you know what is the right thing to do? And
So here's how I feel about all that, right? Callas sang Carmen later in her career, okay? Carmen is a mezzo role. So down around that lower passaggio, there has to be a very specific technical ease with coming in and out of that passaggio area, which is not always easy for a lyric soprano, because we call that area a little bit of the no man's land, right? Because how do you appoggia? How do you gather? All of that. So Carmen, it's a lot. It's a lot. You are a soprano, there's no doubt in my mind. But I think what Carmen will do for you with the right guidance, vocally and your coaches, to really, really find your real voice in it, Samantha. Don't try to copy someone else, but do listen to maybe Callas. How open was her throat? What you experienced today, you're going to have more of a relationship to her, maybe Agnes Balta. There'll be certain singers that you listen to, and I think maybe Jessie Norman only sang the arias. I'm not sure she sang the whole opera, but you could check that out, okay? Relating to a singer who's your voice type. In my case, when I was in college, I was a piano major. I was not a voice major in college. I was a piano major. But then I started studying voice and in my junior and senior year. And I really, I just wasn't comfortable setting everything in the lowest key. So I just started choosing higher keys. And I was teaching myself the songs anyway. But as I did that, I thought, wow, there's more freedom. I'm more able to access what I'm looking for in breath to sound when the key was slightly higher. That gave me a little bit of a clue, right? I had a big instrument. I had a lot of chest voice. So immediately they would say, oh, mezzo. No, I wasn't. I was a spinto who had low notes too, which are necessary in Puccini, believe me. So I think you're in a place where you can do this kind of experimentation. I will say you're doing the experimentation not with art songs, you're doing it with the big operas. So I would maybe back off a little bit of some of the more, like Louisa Miller, some of the more, I'm going to call them the athletic Verdis. Sing the Corsaro, sing the lyric Trovatore, sing the lyric Verdis for a while until you get accustomed to what this feels like. Because the problem is when they're athletic and they're jumping up and down, or you're responsible for a cabaletta, it happens so quickly you don't have time for a physical memory to settle. Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense.
Okay.
Thank you
My pleasure. You're a doll. You sound wonderful, and just take care and really ask your group, your team of teacher and people to really say, I really love this free sound. I need to monitor it, right? While I'm working on the role.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Okay. Lots of luck. That's a fantastic role. Hello, Jose.
Hello. Thank you again so much. I do have a question. I have a question. Interestingly, I have a question about this word appoggio.
Good question.
I've never I mean, I've heard it, but I hear different people say different things, so I don't bother with it. But apparently today, it's what kind of gave me that connection. So I would like to ask what if you could give me your.
Appoggiare mean, Jose? Do you speak Italian? You speak Spanish? Italian?
No, Spanish.
Okay, so appoggiare means to lean. When you're on the train in Italy, non appoggiare sulla finestra. Don't lean on the window, you might fall out, right? Okay, so it's a lean. So what does lean mean, right? There's many versions of it. In your case, and I want you to know, again, it's still an inside job. An appoggia still happens from the inside out, rather than grab your abdominals, stiffen this. It's not that.
Right.
It's allow the breath to give us the muffin top. We talked about that a little, right? It's allowing the breath to release those lower abdominals so that the pressure that's created, the compression that's created down below, literally leaves the throat open. So when you did the octave, right? Oh, you literally leaned on this because it's in a very comfortable part of your register, your baritone. You inhaled into that position and you sang the high note from that position. That was your physical experience of appoggia today.
I was just gonna say, it's funny you mentioned train because it felt like an open train just going up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, and remember, you know, opera is this really weird sport. It's not a passive sport, right? But what we don't need as the activity is imposition on the sound. We need to get out the way, right? We really need more to release and allow what we were working on today with the breath up and down, or engaging your sound. So the first time you sang it, we're going to call it crooning, right? Like when you crooned Verdi, you're not going to do that anymore. Okay, so it's okay. How else are you going to learn? But so today you found out how to still get a dolce sound, a sweet sound, a truthful sound from right? That was a more breathy, careful, tenorish approach to it, which you don't need. Right. That's not necessarily going to be the musical solution for you.
And
right?
you said the word sob, which is so interesting because when I was at a Manhattan School of Music, half the school was like, you're a tenor, you're a baritone. And so I think a lot of that residue is like, I still try to find my sound. And today, like I said, that Americana that's what I feel is me. I call it Americana, but that's where I feel my voice and my body is all connected. And when you say sob, because they always told me the cry, but the sob is more like it sinks into my body more. It was a weird aesthetic, linguistic.
It's like the verb. It's like the verb, right? It's the action, right? The sob is the action to create, right? The cry. But Italians use it as a physical means to singing. It is part of technique, not just an imposition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. You're so talented. And right now I would stay a baritone. I mean, you know, you never know what's going to happen in the future, but for you to establish this, you know, this bel canto feeling, for you to establish it, I want you to get it into those sections of the largo, or get it into the sections and let your body settle with it. If you're thinking of transitioning, or you start to sing, if you want to try something, try Amorti Vieta from Fedora.
Yeah, that's what they started me on.
Because it only goes to an A flat. That's why they say that, right? But don't rush something like that. It's not important. You're a marketable baritone. I'm telling you that right now. So live your voice. Live your voice. You know, we have Dr. Hoover here, Maya Hoover, who also studies with me. She's an incredible human being. And she can maybe give a couple little moments of what it was like to change. She was already singing, but she went from soprano to mezzo soprano. And then she had to accept where that voice lived, right? And we talked about that a little bit today. Maya, want to say something?
Sure. So I transitioned to mezzo in 2006, and then met Andrea and started studying with her in 2013, and have been with her, cannot live without her since then. But yeah, I think for me it was like almost like finding a lower center of gravity, and accepting that there is a difference in the approach to the low, particularly the low. and the way that that difference in approach could actually make my top even better, because I, like everyone who transitions, was always told 50-50, oh, well, you're definitely this or you're definitely that,
Yeah.
right?
No,
So-
and actually, after I did test it, and my high C was a lot easier with this
Right.
kind of.
That's right. Yeah. And so, and you remember Jose Melendez, with whom
Yes,
I
of course.
teach and perform for almost 25 years. Yeah, he said, yeah, as soon as you started all of this work that you're doing, I mean, even the top is better.
Wait a minute. Do you have a C, Jose? Jose, do you have a C?
Yes.
Man. So when you laugh, you remind me of my best friend, Johann Botha. Johann Botha was the world's most famous Wagnerian tenor. And he started from baritone. So there is a life for this for you, Jose. I just want to make sure you have someone who's experienced it or transitioned someone. Make sure you know that that person is accustomed to this kind of a thing, right? That
Right.
there is, because that's very important in going solo. You can still keep singing your baritone up as you're experimenting, right? Roll
Right.
like Otello, parts of Otello. Have fun. Sing a little bit through parts of Otello. Right? I'm never afraid of trying them, even though they're like, people go, oh my gosh, yeah, but if it fits, it fits. Right?
And I mean, I really want to share that today was today I felt like I came home to myself, not to myself as an artist, more of a physical like, it's like I got on my own train and I know where I'm driving. I know it has nothing to do with tenor or baritone. It just feels like me, and it's so amazing. I'm so
happy. Thank you very much for saying that, because that's, you entrusted me with working with you, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And this is the goal, that you can come to yourself for each one of you. That's the goal. In following what Maya was saying as well, even the first soprano, Diane Distasio, she also had to find a lower center, right? Going from being kind of a fluffy, light soprano to singing Strauss and Wagner. And a year and a half later, she had to really find where her body was. She had to learn that sense of what is that where I live lower. She's a soprano, but it still wasn't a lifted laryngeal approach to it. Like, with any voice type that needs to experience that.
Andrea, we have a question in the chat box wondering if you are taking on any new students at this time.
Yes. So I have, the studio is thank goodness, doing very, very well even during COVID. I have both online students, depending on their comfort level, or the ones who live in Europe, they can't really come over to my house. And I have, in-studio students, if with testing, I have a certain protocol for all that. So I am. And I think, is my website on somewhere listed? It's really easy, AndreaDelGiudice.com.
There you go, the name of the artist.
AndreaDelGiudice.com. And my information, so you can hear some of my singers, you can find my phone number, you can find my email. And please feel free, just, if you're contacting me, just let me know, the Art Song Preservation Society Masterclass.
I'll drop your website into the chat box so that they have that.
Great.
Well, we probably have time for maybe one more question, and then we will release our guest artist into the day, because I know she did have other plans. And thank you, Andrea, for staying a little later for this.
I'm happy to do this. I just pushed them a little later. It's okay.
Excellent. So one more question, perhaps, if there's anyone. And I just dropped the website into the chat box if anyone wants to copy, paste it, and hold on to it for your personal use. Well, it's like,
Okay, I have a question then.
Oh, sure.
So, during these times,
Yes.
what do you say going back to New York is important for a young singer or something?
That's a good question. Where are you now?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay. So right now, what I'm finding is working very, very well for singers who feel like you are literally in neutral, right? Can't go here, can't go here, can't do this. What is really, really helpful is obviously using this time to do what you did today, Jose, to discover where the voice lives. Yes, you need guidance through that, but you know what? We're not in a hurry, right? We're not in a hurry. Because then also as the voice accepts and utilizes the technique, maybe repertoire will change a little, or you'll add things, or you'll detract things. And then what I recommend is literally making recordings for two different reasons, guys. Two reasons. One, make recordings so you can monitor yourself and you can sit back on the lounge chair and not be critical of yourself. Listen to what the changes are. Decide if you like it. Okay, as you integrate these things. And then two, update your websites. Make sure they're current, because although I don't believe many opera companies are going to hire through online stuff, I do believe they're going to be interested through what they hear in a website and say, oh, I'd like to hear that person when auditions become live. Okay, so I think if you can, and I want this to understood in the best context, as simply as you can. I know many places that have large rooms where a coach is on the other side of the room with a mask on and the singer's in the room by themselves and they're coaching live with a pianist. It is vital, because as we have gone so long locked down and in, singing with a backtrack is limiting in the sense of rubato and the rhythm of your breath. And what I'm finding too is that the voices themselves have started to shrink a bit, because you're acoustically not in that environment where you're singing with full resonance. So if you can find large open spaces for yourself that are safe, go do it. Or go in there and yell yourself for a little while, right? So keep the acoustic changes and improvements part of your exploration. Okay? Or even in your house, find the livest room. Right, and kick everybody out and say, I got to work here for a few minutes. Okay.
I'm in the hallway all the time.
So you have a lot of exciting things ahead of you, Jose. Really exciting things. It's really an exceptional instrument. So you were here at MSM and then you moved back to LA permanently?
No, I was at MSM and then I was in Omaha for a little bit with them, and then 2019 I traveled a lot, and then 2020 I was back in New York. And then everything got canceled, so I came home to my family. I mean, I wanted to come home.
Of course.
So I've been here since April last year.
I think as you build your website in terms of what's currently, and this shift is very important for you. This shift that you did today is very important. As that becomes consistent and you have the arias that best represent you, I would tell you to start considering singing for agents.
Well, speaking, I have one more question. This is, I mean, so I'll say it as generally as possible. If there's, oh, this is hard. So I don't know if I have a manager. I didn't resign, but then they stopped charging because everything happened. So we never talked about resigning. However, with the whole political climate and I respect people's views, but when it's a concerning extreme climate with a manager, does that reflect on us, the talent?
So you're saying if there's some kind of a personality conflict between artist and manager, it could be anybody, does that affect the working relationship?
Yes,
Yes, it does. Okay. An agent is like having the teacher that you want, right? The teacher, because you have to put your trust in that person. First of all, you have to believe they're qualified. Right. You have to put your trust in that person. So if there's something that is blocking that, it's not even a matter of saying you're a bad person. It just doesn't fit, right? If you're with a coach or a teacher, any of us, and we say, it's not working, I feel tighter when I leave, or it just doesn't feel conducive, it's just not a good match, that's all, right? You can lovingly say that. And I think, having an agent, a manager, is literally about both. First of all, the manager says, I know I can sell you. I know where you belong. I know where there's a place for this kind of voice, this kind of artist. And I work, you know, often with Peter Randsman and with Kathy Olson, both of them, and they're both, they absolutely, when they listen to people, are listening not only with the ears that they want that sound, but also, okay, knowing the companies are asking for this, is this a marketable person and voice? Yes. You're animated because you're also an actor. I can hear it. I can feel it. That X factor, and that X factor word came from Peter Randsman, is what great agents are looking for. That is not to say you don't have work to do, because you still do. I want you to.
The work never stops.
Of course. And listen, I'm not sure we ever stop as singers, right? I mean,
right.
Study and the changes and, you know, reworking technique in our 40, all that stuff, right? There's
I had a young student, second grader. You still have a teacher? I was like, of course I still have a teacher. He just couldn't believe it.
Well, and a lot of instrumentalists don't, you know, but taking care of this is it's a different ball game, right? You're not going to the shop and polishing it, and replacing the strings. Right. So I think, you know, feel free to keep in touch with me. You can text me. You can actually email better. I lose text, but email's better. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, because, you know, I understand if you feel far away in LA, but right now everybody's sort of setting up their life and putting together the best representation of who you are becoming, or that those areas. Make sure your team is a team that you trust, that you have people that are committed to this kind of singing and understand the rep that's appropriate for it.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. My pleasure.
Well, I just wanted to say again, thank you, singers. It was so wonderful hearing each of you today. You have each a distinctive quality, a distinctive timbre that is your mark, and it was wonderful to hear the artistry that each of you brought out when Andrea worked with you. As far as our next event, for anyone who is available on Sunday, it's Valentine's Day, February the 14th, at 3 p.m. Eastern. We have a Valentine's concert, My Songs Without Words, featuring pianist Mark Markham, who's simply one of the best pianists of his generation. He partnered for 20 years with the legendary soprano Jessie Norman, as well as a new generation of stars. And he's going to present a virtual piano recital program of songs without words, representing a range of composers from Bach to Schumann to Poulenc, Strauss. So a lot of those will be art song transcriptions and some personal improvisations of his own. So we hope you can make that. And you know, this season we decided to offer all of our virtual master classes for free, just because we know it's a very everyone probably here today has been hit, you know, financially, just because of what's the devastation of the pandemic. So we certainly understand that. But for anyone who does have something to give, no amount is too small and no amount too large. So feel free. The donation information was provided to you previously in the information with the Zoom link. But we certainly welcome any donations, and thank you for those who have already given. Some came in during this actual class, so thank you for that. All right, well, I look forward to seeing everyone at a future event. And again, thank you to Maestra Andrea DelGiudice.
Bravo.
Feel free, you have my website. If you need to contact me, you're all absolutely welcome to do that. I'm throwing kisses to everybody, especially Maya and Blair. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you all. Have a good rest of your Saturday. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.